Entertainment Soldier here, and I am back to talk about Doctor Who Season 2, Episode 2, and my thoughts on this episode. Dull. Very, very dull. I was expecting a little bit more from the second episode after the fucking disaster of the first episode. I mean, come on, RTD, you know how this works. You gotta try to keep people watching this series. How was this episode supposed to keep people in the fucking grip? How is it supposed to make you excited to keep watching? This episode felt more like a filler than an actual episode. It's fucking ridiculous. And I'm just so disappointed with the bad guy. I mean, to have a bad guy that you're putting on the same level as the toy maker, as Maestro. I mean, I was expecting a lot more from this bad guy. And it just never fucking happened. Nothing really dangerous happened. I never really saw this bad guy as a major threat. I mean, why not just make him... Well, I can't really go into that right now, but my God, just, you're going to put him on that level. He's got to be bigger than what he is in this episode. He just never was. And as for the Doctor and Bella, yeah, they're not really improving. I mean, again, Ncuti Gatwa, listen, his Doctor is his Doctor. I've not really got any major problems with him. Okay, he's just got to read from the script he's given. But Bella, I see they're trying to improve the relationship in this episode. That's why we had like a fucking relationship therapy session with them two in the middle of this episode with a very cringe fan scene, which was very odd to have in a Doctor Who episode. Yeah, it was just really cringe-worthy, that scene. And they're not really improving. I get that they're trying to build this up, get Bella to trust the Doctor more. Yeah, sure. And I am at least grateful that we didn't get the whole crazy, backstory of the Doctor. What I mean by that is the whole him having to explain about his people and it taking ages. Listen, they've done it so many fucking times now because the seasons have become shorter and shorter and shorter. It is getting annoying to hear about. And especially since they already fucked up that entire lore of the Doctor. Every time he mentions, oh, I'm a fucking Time Lord. It's like, but you're not though, Doctor. That was the whole point of the childish bullshit episode. When they fucked up the entire lore of Doctor Who, that you're not really a Time Lord, that you come from some other fucking place. Yeah, so every time they bring it up, it just reminds us of the time as children, which is a very bad idea. But as a whole for this episode, it's just not good. It isn't. It's dull, it's boring. You can just skip it and you're not really missing much. I mean, I'll give credit to the writers for one thing. This episode is based in the 50s. And if we all know about that time period, certain races weren't allowed to do certain things. And with the writers on this series, you would think that would be a very big opportunity to mention racial issues. And then continuously hit you over the head with those fucking issues. Like, do you remember racism? Do you remember racism? Do you remember racism? Yes, I do. It's terrible. But this is Doctor Who. It's supposed to be better than that. It's supposed to show you how good humanity is. But, credit to the writers, they did mention it, but they didn't go over the top. There was one scene where it did kind of feel like, holy shit, here it is, we're going to get the whole racism bullshit scene of the Doctor and the police officer. And then it just turned into, oh no, it's just a joke. Okay, fine. So, yeah, that's the only credit I can give to this episode, which is they didn't go massively fucking woke. Which they could have. They could have. But they didn't. But as a whole, the episode, it's just dull. nothing really much happens. I know people are going to say, what about the CGI? What about the, cartoons, scenes and all that? Yeah, okay. But Doctor Who has never had to rely on that sort of stuff. And it never has. You always knew with Doctor Who, the sets would look a bit cheap. The suits would look a bit fake. But the story always carried it forward. The story was always the main thing. That's why you watched Doctor Who. And with this, with the story being bland and boring, you really can't not focus on the other things in the show. I do get that. But I'm not going to give it points because the CGI was okay. I'm just not doing that. I don't see that as a must. I think that's just supposed to be there. That's something I should expect to see, not something I'm going to give credit for. So what would I give this episode as a whole? I mean, I have to give credit for them not going too woke. I do. And, the story is kind of interesting. I mean, the main story, not great, but I do like how the bad guy was able to corrupt a good person with using their loved one. That was kind of interesting, and you can kind of see why someone would go and do bad things for that. So there is some good things in this episode. Maybe a 3 out of 10. That's all I can really do. I can't really go higher than that. But yeah, just bland. And something I did not expect from an episode set in the 50s with a bunch of woke writers. I mean, my God. I thought for definite we would have endless scenes. I mean, for God's sake, they've done this before with the Doctor and a certain woman on a certain bus. I mean, come on. So, yeah. Kind of surprised it didn't go too woke. But let's get to spoilers now. If you don't want to hear spoilers, leave in 3, 2, 1. So the episode starts off with us being in Miami, going to a small theatre where a bunch of people getting ready to watch some cartoons. You get the old newsreel stuff going through. You see a bunch of people, with their loved ones or on their own. Normal shit you see in the cinema. And then the projection guy puts on the cartoon, and then you start watching it, and then suddenly the cartoon starts to jump a little bit, and then the cartoon starts to speak to the people in a very weird way. Like, how is this cartoon talking about people in the cinema? Kind of freaking people out. And then suddenly the cartoon, which is called Mr. Ring-a-Ding, I think he's called. But yeah, he then just starts going like crazy because, well, in a projection place, you start to see kind of moonlight kind of going on the projector, and then a mysterious sort of glow comes on the screen, infecting the cartoon itself. And then the cartoon stops singing, and then he then starts to talk to the people. They start getting freaked out. He then mentions a guy in glasses, and then pops out of the fucking screen and apparently kills all these people. Or what you think he kills them, he just freezes them in time in the projection. Then we get the credits scene. Then the Doctor and Bella back on the TARDIS, where the Doctor is kind of informing Bella again that he can't get Bella home, that he needs to triangulate a different path back to Earth. So they have to go to certain points in time so that the Doctor can coordinate her time period and find a way through whatever's stopping them getting back to Earth. Looks like the Doctor does not know still that the Earth has been apparently destroyed. Who knows? But the Doctor then says they have to go to 1952 to start the coordinations. So they head there. Bella then mentions that she's been wearing the same clothes for a couple of days or whatever. And so the Doctor, being Ncuti Gatwa, has a really, really gay scene, which is, let's get stylish. Let's go do the best part of our adventures. Let's go get a makeover. That's what it fucking felt like when you watched it. It's like, Jesus Christ. That's the best part of your fucking adventures. Finding something to wear. For God's sake. Oh, fucking hell. But yeah, they find some crap to wear. And when they get to the 50s, you know, she's kind of, oh my God, the TARDIS has moved. She's like, dude, what? You saw the TARDIS flying in space and you think the TARDIS can't move? I thought that was a dumb scene. Again, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You saw it flying. You saw it fucking go from planet to planet. And yet now you're like, oh, the TARDIS can move. It's like, what the fuck? Are you that fucking dumb? Oh, fucking hell. Oh, and the Doctor also, sorry, I forgot to mention, the Doctor builds some contraption that helps him coordinate, you know, with the TARDIS to find a way to get to Bella's time period, whatever. Anyway, so they get to the 50s. Doctor tells her it's 1952. They then go looking around for a bit because it's going to take a bit for the device to triangulate what it needs to triangulate. And then they see this theatre, and it mentions some celebrity. I didn't catch the name. Apparently something bad happens to him. And this kind of hits Bella, like, oh no, we know all these people's, you know, future. It's terrible. What should we do? And the Doctor says, don't worry about it, and they just move on from that. They then see that the theatre is locked up with chains, and the Doctor's like, well, why are they chaining up something like this? They're not just closed it off, they're trying to keep something in to stop it getting out. So there's something up here. So they go to a diner, talk to the waitress in the diner. The woman explains something killed 15 people in that theatre, and the authorities don't really know what to do. So the Doctor gets interested. She then mentions that one of the people who has gone missing, his mother is on the other side of the diner. And this is where you get the, oh, remember, the 50s was a very racist time for non-white people scene. Because the Doctor then has to mention it's 1950s and there is segregated parts of, you know, establishments. And he even mentions that technically them two are not allowed in the diner. Technically it is against the law for them to be in that place. So, you know. And again, I will give them credit. They don't go over the top with the racism stuff. They kind of just mention it, and the Doctor kind of just says something good. I say, you know, he says, listen, it's a time period. This is the people of their time. I'm not here to change the world. I'm here to save the world. And eventually people do, you know, fix the problems. Eventually people do evolve. You know, not everything has to be this way forever. People can change. It's not up to the Doctor to do that. It's just up to him to be the star of the show, basically. And I'll give them credit. I will give them credit for that. Again, you could have had what you had with Jodie Whittaker and how she handled this kind of storyline. You know, with the bus woman, Rosa Parks, you know, that whole episode, which was over the fucking top. The Doctors have to continuously get involved in that. Maybe the writers, maybe RTD kind of realised, yeah, that was a stupid thing to do. Or at least he didn't want to make the same mistake. So I'll give them credit for that. Anyway, so the Doctor goes to talk to her because they're now allowed, because apparently the waitress is going to not turn them into the authorities for going over to talk to a white woman. It was kind of, again, yeah, it was the 50s. That was very weird, and today that wouldn't be accepted. I get it. So they go over and they talk to her. She explains what happened, or at least why she's there. Her son was in the theatre. She doesn't know what to do because the authorities don't know what to do. And she's asking the Doctor for his help. And the Doctor says, yep, he's going to help. So they go in the theatre and have a look around. And when they get in there, it's all empty. The projection's off. The curtains are shut. And, oh no, hang on. Now they go in there, there's a film rolling. He mentions segregation again. They're talking to the projectionist, and the projectionist is just terrified because he knows what's there. He tries to get them to get out of there and run for it, but they don't. But then the projection stops, the curtain's shut, And then they start to hear something in the background of the curtains. And then you can also see the projectionist kind of begging to himself, like, don't hurt them, don't hurt them. And then they hear tap dancing. And then the cartoon comes out. Mr. Ring-a-Ding. And no, he's not being projected. So Bella kind of notices that first and says, well, how is this happening? This is 1950s. They don't have the technology for holograms. So how is this cartoon here? The Doctor's also like, again, I'll give Ncuti Gatwa credit. When he does play kind of the Doctor, and when it sounds good, he can play the Doctor. It's like in this scene when you can see the Doctor is really fascinated with this. You can see he's like looking, he's intense, he's really so fascinated by how this is working. And I like that about, the Doctor. And I like how Ncuti Gatwa does. Again, if Ncuti Gatwa had better scripts, and if Doctor Who wasn't written by fucking morons, I think Ncuti Gatwa could be a good Doctor. I really do. There's little bits in Ncuti Gatwa's acting that shows me that. So I give Ncuti Gatwa that kind of credit. But, they're still looking at this, wondering what he is, and Mr. Ring-a-Ding is, he's asking some questions too, like who they are, and he also tells them to not make him laugh, and some other things as well. But then the Doctor asks about the 15 missing people, and asks Mr. Ring-a-Ding, do you know anything about this? Do you have anything to do with it? And then Mr. Ring-a-Ding, he's not really caring at this point. He's just like trying to say, something happened to them, but that's something for you to find out. But then at this point, the Doctor starts to realise there's something really up now. Starts to wonder, why doesn't Mr. Ring-a-Ding want to why does he keep telling them not to make him laugh? Like, what's going to happen if they do make him laugh? And then Mr. Ring-a-Ding just says, don't make me laugh. And Doctor backs off. And then the Doctor demands to know who he is. And then he tells the Doctor who he is. He's the Harbinger. He's Lux, the god of light. And then the Doctor realises, holy shit, it's another god. So yes, we got another god, just like a toy maker. Just like the rest of them, this guy is supposed to be on the same level as those bad guys. So the Doctor is pretty much shitting himself. So they run out of the room whilst he's laughing his ass off, Lux, and get to the projection room, ask the projector guy what the fuck happened. And the projection guy just says he doesn't know what happened. And then Bella asks, well, why are you helping him then, if you don't know what happened? And he says, well, I'm not helping him out of nothing. It turns out Lux has the power to, technically bring people back from the dead. Because you find that the projection guy's wife was killed in an accident, hit by a car. And now, to help Lux, he has been given his wife back. And that is more important to him than anything. And that's why he stays in the cinema. So he can be with his wife now. That's because he also hugs this video thing in his arms. That's his wife. And every night, apparently, Lux just lets him have a dance with his wife. So, again, if you've lost somebody, you know how powerful that can be to make you help anybody. At least, you don't see him fight him, you kind of see him put projections on, that's about it. So then the Doctor starts looking through things and trying to figure out what else is happening here. Then they find the 15 missing people in a roll of film, captured, not dead. So they are still alive, they're just captured in time. You then see Lux trying to get in. Oh, the projection guy helped the Doctor and Bella by playing Mr. Ring-a-Ding cartoon, which apparently Lux has to do because he's attached to the cartoon. So he has to do the entire song before he's allowed to, move, apparently. But then the song ends. You see Mr. Ring-a-Ding climbing up the stairs because he's very small. It's going to take him ages to get up there. So the Doctor uses his time to kind of figure out what the fuck does he? How is he going to beat this guy? Like, what does he want? Is there anything the Doctor can do to kind of negotiate with him? But then Mr. Ring-a-Ding makes to the door, slips under the door, and the Doctor then demands to know his plans, basically. Oh, and he also asks, because in the rules of the gods, the Doctor gets to ask the gods, how do you defeat them? And by law, at least by God law, they have to tell you. But Mr. Ring-a-Ding doesn't. He just gives it in the form of a riddle, and the Doctor says that's not fair, that's against the rules. And then Lux gets the two cameras to turn round and then sucks Bella and the Doctor into them and turns them into cartoons, where you get the scene of the Doctor revealing the fate of Gallifrey to Bella, and they do this because they are one-dimensional characters as cartoons, and as soon as they get a bit of pain, they become two-dimensional. So basically they have to become more and more dimensional by, revealing bad things that have happened to them, their fears and shit. And so they both do that. Bella's worried she's not going to get home. The Doctor's worried that he's not going to be able to get her home. He reveals his planet and all that stuff. And yeah, they become normal again. But they're still stuck in the film. So you just go for a bunch of things. The Doctor's like tearing down the film pages or whatever they're called. And then each one, and then suddenly the Doctor then realises, well, that's not going to work. They're going to have to do it for ages for that to happen. So they then push the screen, because they get this kind of weird thing where they're just looking at you on the screen, and they're just coming over a little bit. Then they grab the screen and push it. It drops out and smashes, and then the Doctor and Bella end up in this fan club thing with 3 die-hard Doctor Who fans. That was the cringiest scene I've seen in a very long time in Doctor Who. And, the Doctor asking questions, like, who are they and what are they? And basically they say, we're your fans. It turns out they're not real. It turns out this was all just a part of Lux's plan to keep them in the film. And then the Doctor has to tell Bella that these people, as soon as Bella and the Doctor leave, they'll disappear into nothing and die, basically. And this upsets Bella. And the Doctor says there's not really much they can do, but he says if he can save them, if there was a way, that he would do it. And then they leave, and then they disappear, and that was that. Oh, but the fans did tell the Doctor a way to kill Lux, which is basically to do with fire and light, basically. So the Doctor leaves them, they're gone, they're dead apparently. And then the Doctor realises there's only one way for them to get out of this film, and it's basically to burn it down. So they got to pull that film thing so fast that it sets fire to the projector. They do that, it catches fire. They're then thrown out of the movie. Doctor gets a little burn on his hand, but apparently still has enough regenerative, magic left to heal himself, even though it's been a fucking year. And he fixes himself, and then Mr. Ring-a-Ding comes in again. At this point, Lux then realizes for him to become more powerful, to become two-dimensional or whatever, he needs to suck the power and the light out of the Doctor, who is the most powerful being in that room. So he grabs the Doctor and starts to suck out all of the Time Lord energy inside him to, make him whole, Mr. Lux. And then the Doctor tells Bella to get out of there, or at least to find a way to defeat him, which is go to the film closet, grab all the film, and just set fire to it, exploding the hole in the cinema, which she does, with the help of the projectionist guy who, at first doesn't want to help her because that might risk him never seeing his wife again, but he then gets his wife to appear in front of him and, tell him to do the right thing, which he does, grabs a bunch of matches, sets fires to the film. It blows a hole, apparently, in the cinema, which gives Lux the sun's rays, which gives Lux more power. He becomes bigger and bigger and bigger to the point he turns into nothing. And that's how the Doctor defeats Lux. He gives him the power of the sun, makes him the most powerful being in the universe, and he just turns into nothing because of it. And that's how the Doctor won. And then everybody's freed, and everybody comes out of the cinema alive and well. And the Doctor and Bella are kind of happy with each other now because they went through that counselling session with each other. They trust each other now, and they're going to focus on trying to get Bella home. Oh, and also the Doctor does mention the fact that daytime is not a good place for non-white people in the 50s, so let's get out of here now. And that's how the episode ends. The Doctor and Bella jumping in the TARDIS and heading off to their next adventure, showing everybody that the TARDIS can disappear. Because everybody knows it disappears. And that's how the episode ends. Yeah, it was kind of a dull episode. I mean, again, the only good thing about New Doctor Who, and I'll say it again, is Ncuti Gatwa. Ncuti Gatwa looks like he at least tries. And there is parts where he does feel and act like a Doctor. I will give RTD that credit. And I wish that RTD would just stop with this woke bullshit. That he would have better writers on his team. Like, Ncuti Gatwa could be a great Doctor. If you gave him the fucking tools, if you gave him the stories, he could be, I'm not going to say better than the good Doctors, but at least on par with them. But I don't know if we're going to ever get that from Ncuti Gatwa. I do doubt we're ever going to see a season 3, and maybe that is for the best. But as a whole, for this episode, it's a 3 out of 10. If you like the CGI in this episode, maybe you'll enjoy it. If you want to see, the Doctor and Bella fight some mysterious god in a cinema, maybe you'll like it. But if you're a Doctor Who fan, all you're going to remember is you've seen better from long ago. And that's just a shame. Again, maybe we'll get some good episodes in the future, but this one, nah, it's a 3 out of 10. And I don't think I'm ever going to watch it again. And that's it. And that's the end of my review. If you like this review, give it a like. If you dislike this review, give it a dislike. And if you like my content, do think of subscribing. And if you have a comment, leave it below and I'll try to get back to it. Entertainment Soldier. Bye.